Y is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
I did a little research.
Okay.
As a newly, I don't want to say ordained,
Yes.
coronated. What's the past tense for coronation? Crowned, named.
Crowned. Either or.
As a baron of Sealand, the world's smallest principality.
Yes.
The correct terminology, let me make sure I get this correct, on how I would like to be addressed going forward. So this is definitely going to happen. As you know, the most honorable, blah, 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 Lord, in direct address, you can also refer to me as my lord or your lordship.
Oh.
Yeah. So just if you want to spread the word around the office, let them know.
I'll definitely let them know.
I know you have other things you call me, but I want to just get this on that list.
I'll be sure my mother gets the memo too.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
as the Right Honorable Reverend
Professor Reverend Colonel. I get a higher title than you somewhere.
Listen, I'm just trying to accumulate as many, so at some point all of these honors just crush me to death.
They will. Yeah, all the weight of your chains and robes. The ermine will just entwine you. That'll be our exploitation movie.
An allergic reaction to velvet, and I'll just be
and rubies.
Oh my God!
I definitely could see you being allergic to rubies.
This is Why, with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
How's Captain feeling? He hasn't gotten anything, right?
No, Captain is fine.
Okay, good. He's not like in a daycare situation where he's hobnobbing with other puppies or anything.
Have you met
me? No, I haven't met.
I
mean, if anything, I'm
the
sure
whole world revolves around Captain. We have discussions about how Captain needs alone time. Like, we need to make sure Captain is not attended to for a few hours, because he's with someone so often. It's so rare that he's alone for any length of time, that especially with me, definitely with me, when he comes back to me, he gets extremely wrought with just, anxiety if I leave him for a minute. But if he's alone a little more, he's okay.
Do you think when he watches The Crown with you, he's just watching that show, just like, preach it, I get it.
Totally.
I've been there. Yeah. It's got to be hard for him.
Oh, yeah.
Especially this holiday season. So many parties, so many sweaters.
It's true.
It's a lot to...
I just bought him
Of course you did.
I mean, he's got so many great things. My sister bought him a tag for his collar that says "So Extra," which is perfect for him. And I just bought him a chew toy at CVS that's a CVS receipt, and it actually unrolls.
Wow.
It's awesome. I saw it. I was like, this is ridiculous. He has to have it.
I'm shocked CVS had a sense of humor about that.
I know, it was so clever. I loved it.
Years of people dressing like their receipts for Halloween. Finally, they've leaned into it.
Yes, mastered it.
Well, bravo CVS. No notes.
I know. I just realized I need to go back and get a second one for Peanut, my cousin's dog.
Yeah, heaven forbids there'd be some jealousy there.
Peanut would be jealous.
Oh, Christ. All right. Anything else?
My mother listened to the Christmas episode.
Oh boy.
She loved it. She said, "You're absolutely brilliant at selecting the music." She thought it was fantastic. She thinks you're an exceptional human being and did a phenomenal job with it.
Okay. Would she use the phrase, would she describe me as the bee's knees?
She might.
Okay. Cat's pajamas?
Yes, she was not pleased. She didn't love the Rolex story, but she understood that that's who we are.
It's holiday season.
Right. And you have to have, it has to be us or it's not our episode. But she was quite impressed.
Well, that's lovely. I've listened to it once it came out, and I gotta say, there is nothing better than with the dynamic insertion of audio of advertisements.
Yes,
we apologize, but this thing doesn't
yes,
pay
we
for
gotta,
itself.
right.
The fact that literally every single time we go back to talking about a Rolex,
Mhm.
the algorithm is just like, this is a good time to sell you something. Every single time where you're
That's
saying, well,
hilarious.
did it present itself naturally? Does she need to go to the gym more? Or what? Every single time it's just like that little music comes in and like,
It's
hey,
hilarious.
if you're looking for another podcast like this one, which you
I
probably aren't,
mean,
there you go.
you only need one of these in your life and you've already
Oh,
found it.
you sure hope so.
Sorry for my delay.
No
But I'm here.
worries. Hello.
Hi, my Pilates class went longer.
Oh, I've heard that 100
happens.
times.
I couldn't get out of it.
No, you can't never sneak out. It's Pilates and yoga both. You can't leave at the end. You got to
can't
stay for the
leave.
end.
Yeah, the teacher started late, so I was pissed off at it. But okay.
Oh,
Congratulations on the book and the movie. This is sort of a real deluge of rock camp stuff all hitting at once.
A lot in one shot. The funny thing is the movie is it took 5 years to make, and then 2 years to. I think it's been, which it was released a few years ago during COVID, or I don't know what. No, a year and a half ago. But now it's I didn't realize it started the trend. And
mhm.
Mhm.
these things take a while, so it's great. So it's fun.
Are you, I don't want to say, are you happy with the movie? Is it a good representation of what goes on at the camp?
Love the movie. It took 5 years to make, but being at the camp is 10 times better.
Well, you
That's
can
how
tell.
great camp is. And that's
I mean,
why
that's my big complaint about the book and the movie is it just made me want to be at camp more, and I felt like I was missing out more.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. Like, I mean that
No,
as
in a
the
positive
ultimate
way.
compliment. Like, why am I not here?
right. So that's why I made the movie, because people are scared to come. Let's face it, you're scared. You get Jeff Beck, Roger Daltrey. I'm not jamming with them. I'm scared, and I understand that, because I got invited to go to Michael Jordan fantasy camp, and I said, I'm not going to jam play with Michael, play one-on-one with Michael Jordan, look like an idiot. So successful people, but once they come and they get over that fear, they keep coming back. So last camp we had 60% of the return campers, and many of them use it as a way to just check in with their music once a year. And it's really a boot camp. So yes, you have to do the camp. It's really life-changing. It really is. To me, it's amazing how it just transforms people's lives. So
And the rock stars. I mean, the quotes you have are
that to
unreal.
me, that to me is what it's about. I couldn't be doing this for 25 plus years if it wasn't for the rock stars. So when you get a guy like Sammy Hagar, who in the film, you see how emotional he gets.
Yes.
Or even, come on, Gene Simmons, to be so humbled.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not his MO.
Paul
It's-
Stanley, be humble.
What Paul Stanley said
I
it
know.
was,
I know, and all of them, even Roger. I guess it reminds them. It touches with them. It reminds them what it was like when they first started. And Gene's line was, I wish we had this 40, 50 years ago.
yes.
And then the second line he said was, I wish I would have thought of this idea.
Oh, that's,
No.
I mean, of course.
At least it was in that order.
Yes, this is
it was,
true.
it was in that order.
Yeah.
But I think that, and for people who come, even if it's a youngster coming or an adult, I mean, for a young kid who comes, whose parents, send them, what a privilege it is for him to learn from 15, 16, 17 rock stars there that you can just eat lunch with and sit and mingle and just ask all the questions you want and to go to their master classes. It's not a meet and greet. It's not one of those, hey, get a picture, leave it. Jerry Cantrell, comes there, he sits down and has lunch sitting next to campers. And I even said that, he was so cool. They all like to mingle within those people because, again, they're musicians, so they respect other musicians. So, and then once you get them there, I tell them, come for 2-3 hours and jam with them. They end up staying longer. I mean, what's his name? Kim Thale from Soundgarden. He comes to the last camp. He stays for 3 days. He invites all the campers to us. He invites them all to his room. He invites them all to hanging out with him. He's having the most incredible time. So I said this time, hey, would you jam with him at the with each band sure, I'll do that, and they can't get enough of it. Chuck Leavell, I mean, he was at the last camp and he just jammed with them in front of their families and friends at the cutting room. And he also stayed an extra day, and they love to work with people. And so it's really a great outlet for them. You're right.
It's like feeds everybody's souls. Like everyone's souls.
It's everyone's soul.
Fed.
It's everyone's soul.
So cool.
And what's the conversation like? Does it get down to for a guitar, let's say, are you saying to Kim Thale, how'd you get that sound on this thing? Or is it, how did you write Outshined?
Both. How did you get the sound?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about the pickups you use. Show me the amps you use. Show me the pedals. They all have pedals,
Oh, yeah.
They can't get enough pedals. It makes me crazy because the pedals, you got to change them over every band. But the pedals, I mean, they have the questions, and then really writing songs, and they get a good input. We have a masterclass where you could bring your song to camp, and 5 to 6 of the counselors are going to listen to your song and critique you on it. And to me, I mean, one lady came with a lyrics. We found love from Nashville to the Alamo. So they turned to her and said, "Lady, you're not Michael Jackson. And number 2, we lost the Alamo.
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, to get that kind of critique. And now I've been following this lady, and she perfected the song, and now she's going to release it. So many of them able to bring their songs, and so many of them walk away getting in tribute bands. It astonishes me, really astonishes me, what these people can do, and if they want to do it. There's always some that just want it, but they get the bug, and then they start, playing more and playing more. It really ignites them to do it. And like Tony Robbins said, if you want to perfect something, you got to immerse yourself in it for 4 days. And rock camp is a total immersion. Your hands are going to hurt. I'm going to tire you out. You're going to feel tired, just the way I felt on tour. I was on tour for years. I could, I had to sleep for a week when I returned. But I want you to have that feeling. And then you go home, you get depressed. You realize you got a boring job. And then you'll come back.
Right. And then you feel good again.
And then you're good again.
It just seems like you say, oh, it's all ages, all ranges of skill. I just would feel like an idiot walking in and saying to Joe Perry or Nels Klein, "Hey, listen to this," and trying to rip something off that they go, "Oh, yes, you have that's a thing you can play."
So let me tell you something. 2 things. When you get encouraged by a Joe Perry, you take that with you for the rest of your life. I remember Roger Daltrey walked into a room. He turns up. He sees my son on drums, and he started correcting him. And he said, "Josh, what are you doing? Play it that way." I said, "Roger, stop it." I said, "You just in the room." I said, "I'm going to be paying therapy bills for the rest of my life because." You don't realize when you say something, it means it,
Yes.
And I just want to be honest, So, and I'm just saying that the encouragement that they get from these rockers is really incredible. And, to me, the bottom line of the whole thing is Joe Perry saying at a camp, he turns to a guy, says, "What do you do for a living?" The guy says, "I'm a doctor. And on weekends, I play guitar in my band." And he turns to the guy and says, "You're full of shit." He says, "You're a guitarist first. You do all that medical bullshit to pay for your guitars." And the guy says, "Yeah, that's me. That's me." So I'm not a musician, but I know my brother was, and I was around musicians. I know that inside of a musician is that constant tapping. If they're a drummer, they're thinking of music all day. So it's fun. To me, the camp is, I walk away making 50 new friends because the other people I know, but I just love when they post their new accomplishments and the records they do. And in the book, I'm able to share some of the stories, as you saw in the movie. The movie we were able to show, we featured 4 people. Now, we could have featured 1,000 people. There's so many, every one of them has a story.
Yeah.
They all have a story.
So for folks who haven't seen the film yet, which is on Amazon Prime right now, as we for free.
They won't buy it. But you ask someone to spend $2 on Prime or anything, people don't pay. But they did pay. They did pay at the beginning. I think it's great. It's free.
No, it's a very enjoyable film, and like Heidi said, it's a great hour and a half promotion of why you
So-
should do this.
And that's why it was hard for me, because it was turning out to be, it took 5 years because it turned out to be an infomercial. And then when Doug Blush came in, and Blush is probably one of the best documentarians out there. I mean, he's done 20 Feet from Stardom. That's why I really wanted him.
Mhm.
Of course, that makes
He's really checking. He's got three. Worked with 3 major Oscar films, being the editor. One was in Invictus, the drug story, and Period was he won an Oscar.
Mhm.
You know, I know. I mean, he did a great job on the film to make it that it's enjoyable.
So for folks who haven't seen the film, haven't read the book, can you give the 30-second elevator pitch of how you came up with this idea? Because in retrospect, it seems like, of course, who wouldn't want to do this?
Right. Okay, so I was on the road with Ringo. I created the All-Star Band. I approached Ringo with the idea, and when I pitched to him, he turned to me and said, "I was thinking the same thing." So we put together the first All-Star Band, and he came up with some Joe Walsh, and then I would say Nils Lofgren. We just came up with some great names together, and it was an amazing experience. And after the 4th show, as you'll see in the film, everyone said to me, "Fishof, this idea is never going to work. You want to do one night benefit for Live Aid where people can get all these band members together. It's going to work, but you can't tour all these egos, on one road and one tour." And I said, "I'm going to try," and I did it, and after the 4th show, Ringo turned to me, "So can we play Radio City?" So I invited the president of Radio City to come to. Don't I do a crazy impression of him?
No,
such a
it's
lover.
like he was
I
here.
love it.
It was like
Great.
I know. I love to talk like him. Anyway, so I invite the president of Radio City to come to have dinner with me backstage, and I'm having dinner, and all of a sudden, Nils Lofgren walks over to me and says, "Fishof, I'm out of here. This thing is never going to work. This tour is not going to work. There's fighting going on. Levon, Helm, and Joe Walsh are having a fight." And then Clarence Clemens walks out here and he says, "I'm out of here. I'm gone." Now, I had mortgaged my house to put down the initial deposit. So you can imagine I'm seeing my house go right down the Hudson River. And in my mind, and then I run downstairs and security guard look for Ringo. I couldn't find Ringo. Couldn't find him for anything. I don't know where he was hiding. So they told me, "You better go in there." And I walk in there, and then you'll see in the film what
It's
happened.
the best. It's the best. I was going to bring it up, but I
What
didn't
a
want to
goof.
spoil. It's the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah,
I
it's
loved it so
crazy.
much.
Yeah,
And the
now they
fact that
thought
the
it was the
footage is
best. They
there.
loved it. They
Oh.
laughed. Jim Keltner filmed it. They filmed it.
Yes.
I almost had a heart attack, but
Oh,
it
I'm
was
sure. I mean, I right. No,
Scary.
like, yeah, terrifying. It's
Especially,
one of those things that, like, it's hilarious now, but
Right. And when you're a promoter, when I was a manager, it's great. You collect commissions, you tour. But when you're a promoter, you're gambling every day. There's no question you're gambling. And that was a gamble on me to put that tour together. So, but it worked. In the end.
they're
Yeah.
still going strong.
Yeah, and I'm so really proud of it. Ringo's still
Oh,
doing it,
it's
32
such a-
years.
It's
He's
so
still
much
touring.
fun.
It's a fabulous show.
Oh,
I did Dirty Dancing. It's not in the film, but I produced that as a live tour, and that's become a Broadway show.
yeah. seen
Even the
that
Happy
too.
Together tour, it's still going on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Turtle is still doing it. So I'm proud of the accomplishments, and it's all, what it is. The truth is, it's all about hits. You got to get people hits.
Yeah.
Period. How many times you go to a Bob Dylan show, or you go to a show? and
Watch
you
your mouth.
just-
Watch it.
I
Careful.
know, but how many times you go to a show? I don't care who an artist is, and say, "Oh, we're gonna play you this album cut or this," and
Yeah.
This
my
is off the
favorite-
new record. Yeah.
off the new record.
Yeah.
And that's a good time to do a bathroom break.
Totally.
But
Yes.
I love Paul Stanley said at a camp. He said to a camper, said to him, "Are you going to do this second tune on the 3rd album? And an obscure great song?" And he said, "No." He said, "That's the reason it's obscure is because we're not going to do it."
Right.
People want the hits,
Yes.
And you go to when you go to a show. So my philosophy is you have to keep your mind on that show, and if you start dreaming about upcoming tax season or your family, then the artist is not doing their job. So I'm a big guy. Hits, and more hits.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And that's, it's the key. It's the key. I
It's
mean,
the key. Give them the hit.
right. So of all these years, all these, it's like picking your favorite child. What was the one thing that you wanted to make sure, one story or anecdote that had to be in either the film or the book? What was the one that I was like, this has to be in there no matter what?
So I have to say, it's really Roger Daltrey, and he's been such an inspiration to me. First of all, I went over to England after I did my second camp, and I knew Roger because we did a project together, British Rock Symphony, and he did it. And I wanted to convince him to do this camp. And so I go over there, and we set up, we go out to dinner, and I said, Roger, I would love you to do my fantasy camp. And I'm asking, and the whole time he's going, come. Oh, you should do a camp, and then he's changing the subject. Like, okay, great idea. I'm not doing the camp of yours. And so finally, after 2 hours, I'm sitting there, and the bill's coming. I said, Roger, I came here for one reason. Will you do my rock and roll fantasy camp? He says, you should use the Thompson twins and the Village People. So I said, what are you talking about? I said, well, the word camp, and in England, the word camp.
Of course. Yeah.
And something else. He thought that's what I was asking him. I said, no, camp's a place where you go in America, you're going to jam with a hero. Now, for example, if you told me, who's your hero, who would you love to jam with? He turns to me, he says, Levon Helm. He says, you introduce me to Levon Helm, I'll fly to New York and do your camp. I've always wanted to meet him. I said, well, so I had that in my back pocket because I was representing him. I did a lot of work for Levon. So I called Levon up and I said, I'll get you to Levon Helm. And I called Levon and he was I'd love to meet him. I'll come down there, David. I'll meet him for you and jam with him. And it was just so great. So to me, once Roger Daltrey did the camp, and then he turned to me and he says, after he did his appearance, he says, one of these bands performing at the final night. And I said, no, tomorrow night. He says, I'm going to jam with them. I'm going to get on stage. I'm going to surprise them. I'll get up there and do a song with them. Holy mackerel. Roger Daltrey said it's going to take these amateur bands. And that once he did that, and I said to myself, this is incredible. So that's one story I want to share on Roger, on the talent. The other story, I love this camper stories. There's so many of them. So many of them. I have the guy who stops me on the street in Manhattan and says, I just got back from Moscow and I was jamming with my band opened for Joe Perry. For the Aerosmith. I said, what do you mean your band opened for Aerosmith? He said, well, I met him at camp. I called his manager. I met her and I sent him our CD and I said, is it possible that we could open for Aerosmith, at Moscow Stadium? And she says, well, I don't know. Let me ask Joe. And she turned to Joe. She hands Joe the CD. He says, well, this band wants to open. You met him at Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. I met him at Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. Let him open.
That's my favorite story. That's my favorite story in the book. I loved that part.
An opening act on this guy's band.
I love it.
I love that story. So, to me, that's give a guy a chance, give him a break, and I never promote that. Trust me, I'm the last person that's ever going to promote your career. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen naturally that you're going to get motivated just being around these amazing musicians.
Well, and I think too, sometimes there's the misconception that there's only a certain type of person who's able to go to the camp, but you have such a diverse group of the campers too. Like you're exposed to people that live completely different lives than you live, just your fellow campers don't. And
they become best of friends.
Exactly.
They no matter what they are, because they all have that common denominator of music.
Yes.
And Alice Cooper says in the film, he says, I love the age ranges of this camp. You have I'm thinking he's got Anita in his band, Anita Strauss, and she's probably 27 and he's 67. So what's the age difference?
Right.
Age music, some of these young whippersnappers are really good, and so you can mix them with some older people and they don't care as long as they're great musicians. But really the key of the counselors, Tony Franklin and so these people, they're dedicated.
Rudy seems like a great.
They're so dedicated. Yeah. I called Teddy Andreatis today and I said, an issue happened to camp and he called the camp afterwards. Are you okay? And this and that. And the love that they have is even with those counselors. It's been a lot of fun.
That's so cool.
I'm assuming now you don't have to do the hard sale to any artist to come in and hang out. Who's the big one that you're trying to get?
I
Who's
still
the
have to
big
do the heart,
fish?
believe it or not, I still have to do the heart sale.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the amount of work it is, and also, there's still a hard sale to do. Because, you have to understand the manager and the agent are used to getting these people hundreds of thousands of dollars, and now they're working and touring more than ever. So you can't pay them that kind of money because you got 12 bands there.
Right.
So, you have to find a way to, to get around it.
Mhm.
My dream has always been Mick and Keith, and
Mhm.
but they did The Simpsons for us, that was
Yes.
the
Yeah.
next summer came out in the filming, and that's really what helped the business a lot when they did it, The Simpsons episode, and then people didn't realize it's such a place, but the people who looked it up and everything, that was really amazing. And having Slash there, and he came for 12 hours, and Nick Mason, I asked him to come for a couple hours. He stayed for 4 days, and he got to jam with Mickey Dolenz, and he get to do, to jam. They, don't forget, musicians, they leave town, and then the next person comes to town, and the next person. So they never meet.
Right.
That's
Right.
the benefit. So for them to all be together in a room and to be together for 4 days, and and then they create magic.
It's great.
It's so fun.
It really is fun. And
Ugh.
like you said, I'm glad you asked me. You really have to witness it to believe it. And don't be scared, because these artists want to make you feel as comfortable. We always do a call before camp with all the talent. And I say, listen, leave your ego at the door. And it's about these people. And just give them the love, and show them and help them and encourage them. And you'll see the great results that you'll get. And they do. And that's why camp is not for everyone. It's only for someone who wants to give,
Mhm.
and I asked Jeff Beck, I said, well, what made you do this? Why would you do this? And he said, I just felt it was something I wanted to give back. The business has been so good to me. And so he got it.
It's-
That's great.
But I can't tell you how many people canceled that week.
Oh
They were
God.
scared.
Oh.
They were scared. They were scared. But if you get over your fears, you got yourself the
But can you imagine? I can't imagine. I mean, no matter how scared you are, imagine if you canceled, living the rest of your life going, I had that chance
Yeah.
and I didn't take it. Like that would redefine everything.
Well, usually they get scared, and then they finally take them another 6 months to.
And
But
like,
for the majority, now they come, and I think that's what the whole idea of the film was, to show you that you shouldn't have to worry, you shouldn't have to, because that's really why I wanted the film made for two reasons. Number one, to get rid of the fear factor for people,
mhm.
but number two, I wanted it for people at any age. They can realize, hey, you want to do a podcast? Do a podcast. You create an app? Do an app. Don't be scared. You're never too old. And unlike the baseball fantasy camps, where you're never going to become a baseball player because you can't hit the ball. These guys can't hit the ball over the fence anymore at 40 years old. Mick Jagger's still working at 82.
Right.
Yeah.
McCartney's still working. You can be a working musician at any age. You can write a
Yes.
song at any age. So, and I wanted people outside of music to really watch the film and say, I can do this. I have an idea. I'm an artist. I want to do something with my life. These people do it through music, but I can do it. So it really, I'm hoping that's really what resonates.
Well, let's just try to sell a few more tickets here. The upcoming of camps.
Oh, my women's camp.
That sounds great.
Heidi, you have to, where do you live, Heidi?
I'm in Detroit.
Are you in Detroit? The women's camp is amazing. I did one last year with, I did it with Nancy Wilson, and Melissa
Yes.
Etheridge. I had 75 ladies come. They, all ages,
Oh.
ages. And the camaraderie with all women was better than the men's and women's camps. The men's and women's camp, the last performance, they come with their family friends, they perform, and then they're out the door. They want to go celebrate their experience.
Oh.
The women's camp, no one moved. The camaraderie that the women had, to me, was just so more amazing than women and men. It was just a great idea. And it was Britt Lightning's idea, and from Vixen, and she's our musical director. And this year is going to be great. This year we're doing Nashville with
Yes.
Winona Judd and
Yes.
Lizzie
It's
Hale.
insane.
And
Yes.
it's
So
insane.
amazing.
Winona said, I'm going to make herstory, HER.
There you go. Perfect.
Exactly.
How
Oh, and
cool
don't
is that?
and don't
Oh.
forget Vicky Peterson.
Yes.
of the
All right.
third
Now, so
leg
let
of
me
the,
tell you how cool Vicky Peterson is. She
please.
said it to Britt yesterday. I want to jam with those bands on Saturday night. I'm going to join them at the club. She heard how cool that would be. I mean, how amazing is that? That here she is. I'm going to jam with these people. So, we were around before American Idol. We were around before The Voice. And, Prince showed up to one of my camps. He came to watch the final night when he was going on American Idol the next day, because he wanted to see what it was like to jam at the House of Blues, with the amateurs.
Yeah.
Someone says, go see Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. And he's sitting up in the lobby. And, so anyways, that was amazing. Yeah. So it's fun. And I tell you something, for me, my mind doesn't stop. I don't,
No, clearly. Oh my God.
my mind doesn't stop. So I'm
I
always
love it.
having to I try to come up with new ideas all the time. And I don't want to go on the road. I had enough of the road. So this is for me the perfect job where I can really come up with ideas and camp ideas and themes. And so
It's so fun.
No,
We
and
have
then
to
the
do
Zeppelin
that.
camp. Yes, pushing Zeppelin camp.
well, yes, Zeppelin Camp with Stone Temple Pilots, Kim Thale. But I was going to say, you mentioned you're not a musician.
No.
How the hell has this not made you want to pick up a guitar or a
So-
cowbell or anything?
So a cowbell I'll pick up.
Yeah.
But I was always, listen, my family was in the chocolate business. They owned Barton's Candy. Can you imagine if I would have gone in the chocolate business, I'd eat all the chocolate.
Right. Right.
I'm better doing it for the outside. I could play 3 chords of of Deep Purple, Smoke
There
on
you
the
go.
Water.
Perfect.
I can bang a little bit of the drums. It takes a lot of work to be a musician, a lot of dedication.
Yeah.
I try. I got all the guitars around me. I tried picking them up. I don't know. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I have more fun doing this.
If you want to sign up for Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, check out their website, rockcamp.com. David's book, Rock Camp, An Oral History, 25 Years of the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is available right now wherever you get your books. And Rock Camp, the documentary, is now streaming for free on Amazon Prime.
You can check us out on all the various socials. Be sure to visit our website and don't forget to leave us a review.
Today's show is produced by myself and Heidi Hegquist. Our reluctant producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Flash, we're coming home.
Nigel, is that you? Are you here, Nigel?